welcome everyone to the Michigan Works Southeast Going Pro Talent Fund information session. And I'm Tom Robinson, the Business Service Manager for the Michigan Works Southeast 5-county region. And those counties include Hillsdale, Lenawee, Livingston, Jackson, and Washtenaw counties. And we are excited to have you here with us today. So last year, over 90 businesses in the Michigan Works Southeast region were awarded over $3.2 million, and we are looking forward to another successful application year with you. And today is the first step in the Going Pro Talent Fund application process, and while we know it can be intimidating if you haven't done it before, maybe overwhelming, and even if you have done it before, it's a lot of dedication, time, and resources. But what we want you to know is that we are here to assist you through that process as your partners, and that we value doing so. One thing I want to make sure that I mention is that at the end of the presentation, there will be a survey, an interest survey. So please be sure to stay on to the end to take that survey to show your interest. That's what we're using to make sure we reach back out to you and schedule a one-on-one session. So we can go ahead and sit down with you one-on-one, look at the application process and help you begin to do that application. And that'll be done with one of your local business service coordinators here on the team. And with that, what I want to do is also let you know that we on the business service team at Michigan Works truly value working with you. It's a pleasure to have this audience today, and it's a pleasure of mine to let you know that me and the team certainly value your partnership and these relationships that we have, and we're looking forward to working with you. So Stacy, with that, would you please begin this presentation? And we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Tom. So as Tom said, we welcome you today for our information session. My name is Stacy Reese, and I am the key contact for your region. I'll be your facilitator this afternoon. I'm also joined by several of my coworkers, and we are all so excited and looking forward to this year's awards. Today's agenda. We have a very busy agenda today, so that's why we've put everyone on mute, so that we can have as less interruptions as possible. As Tom said before, you will be able to put your questions in the chat. And once we get to our Q&A sections, we will answer those for you. A few key points that we will be discussing are the Going Pro Talent Fund background, the purpose of the Going Pro Talent Fund, also eligibility criteria, the application process, scoring, and your next steps. What is the Going Pro Talent Fund? The Going Pro Talent Fund offers competitive awards to employers to assist them in training, developing, and retaining current and new employees. It also provides individuals with employment and strong wages. The results speak for themselves. We are proud to say that last year through the Going Pro Talent Fund Awards, Michigan Works Southeast and our employers received $3.3 million in awards, which led to over 700 jobs and created over 1,300 employees trained. We look forward to continuous success for this upcoming year. Regional snapshot. In the last 4 years, Michigan Works Southeast Going Pro Talent Fund has been awarded over $9 million and served some 250 employers, with the highest number of awards and employers served being this current program year of 2021. Statewide outcomes for the Going Pro Talent Fund in the last 3 years show award amounts of over $25 million, with 11,751 new hires and 18,430 current employees trained throughout the state. The Talent Fund runs on a 12-month training cycle, and therefore all Going Pro Talent Fund trainings must be completed within 1 year of the award date and lead to an industry recognized credential. Employers are also expected to actively be a part of the development of the training plan and work with their local Michigan Works agency and Peer Michigan Talent Connect to post jobs and hire for new jobs created as a result of the Going Pro Talent Fund trainings whenever possible. To be eligible for a training fund award, an employer must have a need for skill enhancement, including registered apprenticeship programs and advanced technology training programs for current employees or new employees, have a physical presence in Michigan, be compliant with all state tax obligations, be willing to participate under the program's eligibility parameters and guidelines. We have some examples of eligible employers, not eligible employers. If you are federally recognized government, federal, state, and local governments, public institution and entities, local school districts and intermediate school districts, municipally owned utilities, county road commissions, community mental health authorities, and others that would be determined by Leo. There are two types of eligible employees. We have current employees or new hires. And new hires are individuals hired 30 days prior to, on, or after the award date. Eligible trainees are also 18 years or older, US citizens, permanent full-time employees, which is at least 32 hours a week, and works primarily in Michigan. Seasonal or part-time employees are not eligible. Sally, do we have any questions in the chat about eligibility process?
No, but Jack did have a question regarding.
Okay. Yes, Jack, we'll be able to get that attendance list to you. Okay, there's no other questions. We'll move on to the next slide. Let's talk about training. All trainings are to be short-term and should not exceed 6 months in length, with overall trainings ending within 1 year of your award date, including on-the-job trainings, which have a 90-day retention measure. So you want to make sure whenever you are starting an on-the-job training, you factor in needing 90 days to complete a retention after the ending of training. Again, all awards must be closed out by 12/31 of 22, or you may be in jeopardy of not being funded by the next Going Pro Talent Fund award year. Who are some eligible training providers? Michigan community colleges and universities, private training providers, USDOL Joint Apprenticeship Training Center, vendors that need to provide trainings for their equipment. Employers could be eligible trainers, but only if their equipment and resources are exclusive and not available anywhere else. And supporting rationale must be provided for this. And proprietary schools are also eligible. Classroom or customized trainings can be for current employees or new hires. And again, new hires are anyone hired 30 days prior to, on, or after the award date. It should be conducted by a third party unless exclusive in nature, which means no one else within a reasonable distance can deliver the training. It can take place at the training provider or on site at the employers. Online can be considered, but with a strong rationale. Please see eligible and ineligible training guide handout that will be located inside your application invitation. Again, on-the-job trainings are for employees hired 30 days prior to, on, or after the award date. Training should be done at the work site, and the 90-day retention period begins upon completion of training and also must be completed within 1 year of the award date. If your new hires are retained for 30 days after the training ends, you will be reimbursed 50%. If they are retained for 60 days, you'll be reimbursed for 75%. And if they're retained for the full 90-day retention, then you will be reimbursed the full 100%. Apprenticeships. For new first-year apprenticeships, which are registered with the USDOL on or after December 1st of 2021, a first-year apprentice may be a current employee or new employee, are in their first year but registered before 12/1 of 2021. Training may be classroom training only or a combination of classroom training and on-the-job training experience. Any exceptions will need to have a strong rationale. Some examples of allowable expenditures are actual costs for classroom training, wage reimbursement, on-the-job training, USDOL registered apprentice training, which is either a classroom, on-the-job training, or classroom by itself. A few expenditures that are not reimbursable are things such as purchase of tools, laptops, computers, things such as licensing fees, curriculum development, travel costs, and online training subscriptions. This is not all inclusive, and it will be at the state's discretion. Cost of training. Classroom training should not exceed $1,500 per person. New employee on-the-job training should not exceed $1,500 per person. A USDOL registered apprenticeship, first-year apprenticeships only, should not exceed $3,000 per person. Targeted incentives. You may receive $500 extra and be reimbursed for new hires who qualify under one of the following categories. If you have a veteran in the U.S. Armed Forces, an active military reservist, an older worker who is 55 and above, returning citizen, an individual with disability, public assistance recipient. If you have an employee who is trying to get their high school diploma or equivalency, you may be awarded up to $1,000 for that. Additional incentives must be used to offset any training cost. Training dates. Training dates are to start January 1st of 2022 would be the earliest that you could start training. And then training end date, everything must be wrapped up and completed by December 31st, 2022. This includes the 90-day retention for a last new hire. No extensions will be approved. Moving on to employee responsibilities. Employers should be committed to the training plan and what trainings are needed and which employees will be attending the trainings. Employers will also need to know how many new positions, new hires with the titles that they will need. Application and training plan will need to be completed by the employer, and any and all contracts or training agreements will need to be signed. Impact stories at the completion of trainings will also be a requirement. Best practice is to close out prior year award before receiving a new award. So if you know a training is completed, go ahead and submit that invoice to your local MWA along with supporting documentation for reimbursement. Okay, so Marcia, Sally, are there any questions in the chat about employee responsibilities?
Yes, we have a question.
Okay.
From Debbie Fulton.
Can training funds awarded be used to pay for external training facility classroom? So I'm not really sure I understand the question. Amber, can you help me out with that one?
Sure. Hi, Debbie. So the Going Pro actually does most training that is external. So as long as it's with a credentialed, has a credential at the end of it, and as long as it is a licensed training provider, it should be fine as far as eligible training for the Going Pro Talent Fund.
Thank you, Amber. Are there any other questions? Okay, if there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and move on. Okay. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. We do have another question. Our potential employees need MDOT. Can that be covered? Okay, so that is something that we would have to look into. That's something that we would ask that the state look over to see if that's a training that can be covered.
Yeah, and Stacy, maybe to the to Tanya Lynn out there, if she could expand on need MDOT exactly so we understand that more clearly about what that means. I think she's adding something in there right now.
Yeah, so MDOT certifications for driving heavy equipment. Okay, so yes, again, I'm going to say we'll have to look over the list of eligible trainings just to make sure that that is one, and we will get back with you on that for sure. Okay. All right, so we'll move on. Next would be the My Talent account. So all employers will need to have an active Pure Michigan Talent Connect My Talent account before you can apply for your Going Pro Talent Fund Awards. And the website is www.mytalent.org. The application, so the online application is going to be through WebLIMS this year, which is the work-based learning online management system. It has to be completed by the employer. The application period this year is projected to be Monday, September 20th, 2021. The link will open for employers to register and request an application. Applications will close on Friday, October the 15th at the close of business day of 5 p.m. The state will then review and score all applications until funds are exhausted. Completion of an application does not guarantee funding. Once you log on to WebLIMS, this is the page that you will see. If you are a new user, you will want to click on the Sign Up Today link located on the lower left side of the page. If you already have an account, you will want to sign in using the same credentials that you use with your My Talent Pure Michigan Talent Connect. Register as a new user, step 3. You will enter all contact information, email, phone number, password, and select and answer the 3 security questions. You will then be able to request a new authorization request first. Once the MWA staff approves your request, you will be sent an email that you are now able to go in and complete an application. At this point, you will want to click inside the employer box once you are in the authorization request area and start typing in your information. And you may see your information pop up as you are typing it in. If it does, you can just click on it and it will autofill for you. Complete your doing business as area, which is the name your company is commonly called. Enter the site, plant, facility name, then fill in your company address. Next, you want to select new request. Even if you had an award last year, this will still be a new request for this program year. So select the MWA that you are working with, add your representative name and information, and then click submit. And also, by the time that you request this authorization, you should know who your local MWA is once you have your one-on-one appointments. Type in your NAICS code, the North American Industry Classification Code. And this is used by federal statistical agencies to collect data of employers. If you do not know what it is, you can use the search feature at www.census.gov/NAICS. You will then enter the number of years your company has been in business, business clusters, employer website, and total number of full-time permanent employees you have. Click on Save and Continue. Next is the Michigan sales tax obligations. If this applies to you, you will enter your sales tax license, answer the yes or no questions, save and continue, and then enter your primary contact information. Rationale for request. So we are now starting the meat and potatoes portion of your application. Starting with the introduction. Here you want to tell a little bit about your company, a little history. What is it that your company does? If there's anything that makes your company unique, talk about that. Go into specifics about your products and your footprints in your community. Emphasize the importance of your company to your community. The business case. This is your opportunity to tell why your company needs the training. Make sure to list the trainings, what they are, and how they would benefit your company, your employee, and the community. You may want to list anything that is of great relevance, like if you're doing expansion, if you have new equipment that you have and you need to train people on, or if you have new processes that you need to train on. Or maybe you are at risk of losing your business if you are not able to get a certain skill set. If you had a Going Pro Talent Fund or STTF award in the past, you will want to tell what positive impact it had on your company. Training needed. So you really want to be specific with this section. List your trainings and how each one of them ties into your company's training need. The state likes to see that you know the who, what, when, where, why, and how. So you don't want to just say, we need this training to help our company grow, or we need this training to be competitive. Well, how will this training help your company grow? And how will this training help you be more competitive? Tell how that employee will have more skills in advancing your company after the completion of the training. Be specific and explain each training and the need for each one. If your company was affected by COVID and this training would help your company bounce back from that, explain why. Make sure to enter accurate dates for the start of the first training date to the end of the last training. Then click save or save and continue. If you have struggles with any of these sections, please do not hesitate to contact your local business service coordinator for help. We are here to help you. Sally, do we have any questions about the training rationale or information?
Not at this time.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, we will move on to the next slide. Okay, so let's go over the training plan a little bit. On the training plan portion, you will need to enter your information for your new hires, your current workers, and apprentices. Templates will be provided. There will be a drop-down box to pick the type of training provider name, the drop-down box for the credentials, training provider city, state, where the training is being held. You can keep clicking on the click on add training provider button to add more training providers. Once you've added all your training providers, then you're going to go on to your training plan details. So add your training provider in the drop-down box, training course name, training type in the drop-down box, and the start and end dates of the training. Also needed here is a training cost per person. And you just keep adding your training courses and save and continue. Current employee details. Here you have the ability to upload an employee list. Then you can download the template and enter the employee names, current hourly wage, and select the training course. New hire details. Again, you can upload new hire list, download, and then add your new hires positions or job titles. The number of new hire positions you will have, and hourly wage for that specific job title. And keep adding new hires if you have them. Here's where you will add the total cost of all trainings, total amount of Going Pro Talent Fund program funds being requested, along with your employer contributions. So how much excess training costs that will not be covered by the award? You can find this information in your training plan. Here you can list your total projected employer contribution amount. You should attach a document explaining the projected funds that you as the employer will be contributing here. You'll be able to download your training plan at this time and then save and continue. Sally, do we have any questions in the chat about online training?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we have a question. Are employers required to have a contribution amount? You are not required to have a contribution amount, but as you will see in just a few minutes, there's going to be a scoring criteria, and contribution amount is a part of that scoring criteria. So in just a few minutes, when we get to the scoring, you'll see why I answered it that way. Okay, next question. If we offer the training at our facility, but one of our staff, but we have to pay for the materials, would we be able to include that? I'm going to say it is possible, but you would definitely have to have a strong rationale for that, for them to consider being able to pay for a training that you're going to have at your facility. It's going to be done by your staff. So you'd have to have a strong rationale for them to approve paying for the materials for it. So that's how I'm going to answer that. And hopefully that gave you a good idea of it. You're welcome. Yes, we will have a recording at the end of this. There will be a recording that you will be able to get.
Stacy, can you just let them know where that recording can be found at?
Yes, it'll be in the email. Yeah, a follow-up email to the employers.
And available on our website, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Will we have access to the slides?
So I don't think the slide presentation is currently available out there, but that's something we will check into. And again, you're going to get a follow-up session if you're interested with one of our business service coordinators, and we can talk to you then about providing you the actual slides at that time as well. Josh, I'll follow up with you about possibly putting our presentation out on the website after this, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so if there's no more questions, we will move on to the next slide. Scoring, yay. Okay, so this year we do have some new scoring criteria on here. So, and we're excited for these new opportunities. First, we start with the rationale. This can get you up to 45 points, starting with the introduction. So for the introduction, you can get up to 5 points. For the business case, you can get up to 25 points. And for the tie-in to training, you can get up to 15 points. For the rationale business case tie-ins. Next, we have diversity, equity, and inclusion. So this is new this year. So you get a special allowance for minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, individual with a disability owned, or a geographically disadvantaged business enterprise. Employer contribution, up to 10 points you can get for that. The more you contribute, the more points you get. So if you do a 1-to-1 match, you would get 10 points. If you do less than a 1-to-1 match, that would be 5 points. And then if you don't contribute anything at all, then you'll get 0 points. So to the question that was asked earlier, that's why I said, you don't have to contribute anything, but if you're, looking to get scoring points, if you don't contribute, that will give you no points for that. Also new this year is small business and employees 50 and below. So if you have 50 or less of employees, you get 10 points. And if you have 100 employees or less, then that gives you your 5 points. Also new this year is the majority new hires. So if you have 50% or more new hires, that can get you 10 points. If you have 30 to 49% new hires, that gets you 7 points. And 10 to 29% new hires, that gets you 5 points. If you have less than that of new hires, less than 10% of new hires, then you won't get any points. If your training plan includes at least one first-year USDOL apprentice, you get 5 points. And if you don't have any first-year USDOL apprentice, then you don't get any points for that. If you have at least one training that is in partnership with a college, community college, or university that will result in a certificate or degree, you get 5 points for that. And if you don't have anything in that area, then it'll be 0 points. And last, but certainly not least, we have the size of the amount of funds requested. So the smaller the amount requested, the more points you get. If you request up to $50,000, you get 10 points. 50,001 to 100,000 gets you 8 points. 150,001 to 200,000 gets you 4 points. 200,001 to 250,000 gets you 2 points. And anything over 250,001 doesn't get you any points at all. So altogether, you got a total of 100 points with the scoring criteria. Again, these are competitive awards. So the point system is going to make or break. So make sure you really just take your time and figure out what it is that you want to say, what it is that's going to support your training, because this part is very important. Any questions about the scoring, Sally?
Not this time.
Completion of training. Upon completion of classroom training, you must submit an invoice to your Michigan Works Southeast Business Service Coordinator with a copy of the invoice or receipt from training provider. Must show the name of the training. Documentation of training completion for each training. You need a copy of the credential, i.e. a certificate signed by the instructor or training provider with the dates of training. A copy of certification for online courses. Copy of grades for credit courses. Hourly wage for each training. Training verification form, but only at the completion of all trainings. A rapid and demographic form is needed only for first-year apprentices. Completion of training continued. So upon completion of new hire on the job training, you must submit your invoice to Michigan Works Southeast, a company payroll registry or query from the payroll system, or screenshots from the payroll system, dated at the 90-day retention period. You should not be exporting this to Excel. That will not be accepted. Name of employee, hourly wage, hire date, termination, and end date if applicable. Also required for first-year apprentices that complete on-the-job trainings. Impact stories. So this year, impact stories will be located on WebLIME. You'll be able to access them through WebLIMEs. For the impact story, we need a project summary, a business and training quotes, pictures, outcomes, number of new hires post-training, number of jobs created as backfill, business growth, and the positive impact to the trainees. Sally, do we have any questions about completion of training?
We do. From Casey starts out the first question.
Okay. Question, meaning, oh, I think I need to go up. Does the compensation paid to employees while participating in training count as employer contribution? Okay, so I'll answer that part first. Yes, it does. You can put in your employer contribution. There'll be a section for you to put in there, those type of things. So you'll be able to put in there, you know, costs for, you know, that you need to put in for travel time or, you know, anything else that you might need to put in there as far as your employer contribution. Okay, there's one question about that I hear.
From Casey as far as college. And best.
Could you just read that for me, Sally?
Sure. And it's as far as college cert, do the classes need to be specific to the type of company we are?
As far as college certs, do the classes need to be specific as to the company where? So to answer that one, it's, you know, best practice to, you know, offer trainings that you can show are going to benefit your actual employees. So if you, you know, if you're just say a manufacturer and you want to do a training for, you know, some type of medical, in order for that to be approved, I'm thinking you would have to have, you know, a good rationale for that. So yes, they should match the type of, you know, business that you are, but there could be some, you know, that would apply. So just go ahead and, you know, you can request it and discuss that more with your business service coordinator for sure. But I'm going to say it's possible. It's a possibility. Okay. We offer training. If we offer training at our, that one. Okay. Sorry, bear with me, guys. I'm trying to find a question. Okay, meaning we are an HVAC company, so they would need to take only HVAC classes at the local community college. Will it pay for college courses that are applicable to our industry?
So
Again,
Stacy, maybe one way of looking at that too is, you know, taking like a leadership example to where it's not a specific HVAC class, but it would be an appropriate kind of training that an application can be applied for. Maybe that's a way of looking at that question as well.
Okay. Amber, do you have an exact answer for that one?
Stacey, are you referring to the HVAC
Yes.
question? So I think along the same lines, you know, if, for example, you know, I've seen where a leadership, you know, like the Dale Carnegie or something like that, where it's not necessarily a class that pertains specifically to manufacturing, but it's an overall good leadership class. I've seen where the Going Pro can, you know, cover stuff like that. I've also seen where, say you have an HVAC class that is needed, but maybe there's a prereq class that's needed before they can get into, say, that HVAC class, or like a blueprint reading class or something like that. That's maybe a generic class, and it's not specific to HVAC, but it's also a good class to have in your industry. You know, so a lot of times in your rationale, that's where we're really going to be looking at, you know, why your rationale is really to kind of sell the state as to why this class is needed and what the benefit of the class would be for the individual taking it, as well as the employer. And so really, as long as there is a certificate at the end of it and it makes sense for that individual to take, you know, we can look at putting it on your Going Pro, as long as it's an eligible class. But it doesn't necessarily have to be something that is specific per se to your industry.
Yeah, and Stacy, I'll flag that next question. Can we get a comprehensive list of classes that have been approved? So I think it would be difficult for us to commit to providing a comprehensive list of all the classes that have been approved. I would probably recommend that would be a discussion that we move to our one-on-one session, look at what you have in mind, and then kind of use our past experience on whether that's something that is an application that we would want to submit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Amber.
Sure.
Do we have any other questions?
Looks like one just popped in there, Stacy.
With a general introduction to Industry 4.0, industrial Internet of Things, digital transformation, and the current manufacturing environment be acceptable?
Stacy, if you want, I can take a crack at that and then maybe hand it off to you and Amber for some follow-up.
Please.
So I don't think we've ever seen a specific, I don't want to say ever because that covers a long period of time, but I'm not familiar with a I 4.0 specific training that we have seen approved yet. But again, if the rationale could be made that it's applicable to your business and would, serve a need or improve your employees, I think there is a reasonable that's something we could apply for. I mean, there's no rule that says you can't apply for something and be told no, right? But at the same time, I don't think we've seen that specific kind of a course be approved. And again, that I 4.0 stuff is relatively new and will become more popular. So that's probably a question we're going to have to answer as we go forward.
Yes.
Amber,
That's what I was
Stacy,
going to say. It's
anything to add to that?
Industry 4.0 is definitely a new one for us this year. So I agree with you, Tom. I mean, it's definitely something to go forward and discuss with your business service coordinator.
And that might be a question that is better answered next year after we apply for one this year.
And I think too, my question to that would also be, is this a class that's in person or is this an online class? I know that there's some questions revolving around the eligibility of online classes this year. And so just kind of, the title alone, I don't think is enough information for us to go off of right now, but we can definitely dive into if there's a course syllabus that you can provide us or, what type of certificate they'll get at the end of it. And we'll just have a few questions during a one-on-one about that.
Okay, next question. Will soft skills trainings now be allowed, i.e. Excel classes, sales trainings, etc.? No, this year's soft skills trainings are one of the trainings that are listed as not eligible. However, if you have a need for something, even though, they say that they don't approve it, if you have a need for something, you can definitely discuss that with your business service coordinator. And there may be, I know Michigan Works Association has soft skills training, so there may be other ways for you to get your employees that type of training. Any other questions, Sally, at this time? All right, so if there's no more questions, we're going to move on to the next slide. What to expect, your next steps. You'll meet with your business service coordinator to discuss training needs and if the Going Pro Talent Fund is a good fit. If it is determined the Going Pro Talent Fund is a good fit for you, you will have the opportunity to request an authorization to apply. On September the 20th, 2021, applications will open and you can start the process of applying. Application deadlines to your local MWA business service coordinator will be October 15th at the close of business day, 5 p.m. Awards are projected to be announced in December 2021. Any questions about next steps? Okay, so up next, we're going to have a survey once at the conclusion of the training here. we're going to have a survey. And once you close out of the Zoom meeting, please take the time to complete our survey in order to set up a one-on-one session with your local business service coordinator to discuss your company's training needs and for access to the Going Pro Training Fund fiscal year 22 application. Please remember that Michigan Works Southeast is always here to help guide you through this process. And even if you do not get awarded this year for some reason, we may be able to assist you with other grants, training funds, or know of other grant funding in the state that can help assist your company's training needs. So we just want to say good luck to everyone and thanks for attending our session.
Stacy, I want to take a moment and thank you, Stacy, Sally, Josh, and Amber for the teamwork and hosting this event today. I appreciate everything that you've done, and for all the participants out there, thank you for your time. And again, as you close out the Zoom session, please be sure to complete the survey. That's important for us to make sure that we understand your interest, and that's how we will be contacting you to be setting up our follow-up one-on-one session. So again, thank you for your time. If you have any questions after you close out, reach out to your business service coordinator or anyone on the Michigan Works Southeast Business Service team here, and we will be happy to follow up with the questions that you didn't ask during the presentation. But again, great job, Stacy and team. Appreciate what you've done.